Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to tell you, I've been looking forward to this moment for what feels like forever. Every time Jen Sidwell managed to slip out of another impossible situation, I'd shake my head and think, well, nobody stays lucky forever. I've seen enough in my day to know that when someone keeps building their success on lies, manipulation, and fear, the bill always comes due. It may take a while, but sooner or later, life has a funny way of balancing the scales. And from everything I'm seeing on General Hospital, it sure looks like Sidwell's time is finally running out. What really caught my attention is how confident Sidwell has been lately. You know the type. The kind of man who walks into every room believing he's already won before anyone else has spoken a word. He thought he had every move planned out. He believed using Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner would corner Sonny Corinthos once and for all. In Sidwell's mind, this was probably another brilliant strategy that would leave everyone else scrambling while he stood back smiling. But here's something I've learned after watching people for many years. The more a person believes they're untouchable, the closer they usually are to making the mistake that brings everything crashing down. My old neighbor used to say, pride comes before a hard fall. And I've never forgotten those words. They seem to fit Sidwell perfectly. The interesting thing is that Sidwell never really understood the people he was fighting. He looked at Sonny as if he were just another obstacle that could be removed with enough pressure. That's where I think he made his biggest mistake. Sonny has survived betrayals, family heartbreak, enemies from every direction, and more danger than most people could imagine. You don't go through all of that without learning a few lessons along the way. You certainly don't stay standing for this many years by giving up when things get difficult. That's why I find these latest spoilers so satisfying. They don't just hint that Sidwell will lose. They suggest that every scheme he's been putting together is beginning to fall apart piece by piece. Personally, I enjoy that kind of storytelling because it reminds me that shortcuts rarely lead to lasting victories. Sidwell has spent so much time pulling strings behind the scenes that he probably never imagined the whole plan could unravel so quickly. Now, I'm not completely convinced the show will kill him off. As much as I'd enjoy seeing Sonny finally put this nightmare behind him, I also know a memorable villain is hard to replace. Sometimes prison can be a more interesting ending than death. Lock Sidwell away, let him sit there with nothing but his regrets, and maybe one day he finds another opportunity to come back. Soap operas have a long history of bringing dangerous people back when nobody expects it, and honestly, that's part of the fun. Still, whether Sidwell ends up behind bars or meets an even darker fate, I don't think there's much doubt that his time at the top is ending. Every move he's made has been pushing him closer to the edge, and now it feels like there's nowhere left for him to run. That's a satisfying payoff after watching him manipulate so many people for so long. What excites me even more is what this means for Sonny. I'll admit it, I've missed seeing Sonny in complete control of Port Charles. Over the past several months, it felt like he was constantly forced to react instead of leading the way. Every time he solved one problem, Sidwell seemed ready with another. It almost became exhausting to watch because Sonny never had the chance to breathe before another crisis landed on his doorstep. But I honestly believe that's about to change. With Sidwell finally out of the picture, Sonny can stop spending every waking moment defending what belongs to him. Instead, he'll have the freedom to rebuild. And if there's one thing Sonny has always been good at, it's finding a way back to the top when people think he's finished. I've watched enough years of General Hospital to know better than to count him out. The summer spoilers only make me more optimistic. They suggest Sonny won't waste this opportunity. He's going to move quickly, reclaim his influence, and remind everyone in Port Charles exactly why his name has carried so much weight for so many years. That's not just about power. It's about restoring order after months of chaos. Whether people love Sonny or hate him, there's no denying that Port Charles feels different when he's firmly in control. I also think this victory will mean more to Sonny than simply defeating another enemy. Sometimes winning isn't about proving you're stronger than the other guy. Sometimes it's about finally waking up one morning without another battle waiting around the corner. After everything Sidwell has put him through, Sonny deserves at least a little peace before the next storm inevitably rolls into town. And let's be honest, that's exactly how General Hospital keeps us coming back year after year. Just when one chapter closes, another one quietly begins. If Sidwell's downfall truly marks the beginning of Sonny's comeback, then I have a feeling we're about to watch one of the most rewarding storylines of the summer. After waiting this long, I'd say Sonny has earned every bit of the good news that's finally headed his way. The way I see it, once Sidwell is finally out of the picture, Everything starts looking different for Sonny. For the longest time, it felt like he was spending all of his energy putting out fires instead of building something lasting. You can only fight off one attack after another for so long before you lose sight of the bigger picture. Now, for the first time in quite a while, Sonny may finally have the chance to stop surviving and start leading again. And if I know Sonny the way I think I do after all these years, he isn't going to waste that opportunity. I don't think this is just about getting his territory back or reminding people who he is. It's about restoring the reputation that the Corinthos name once carried throughout Port Charles. Whether people respected him, feared him, or even disagreed with him, they always knew where Sonny stood. Lately, that image has taken a few hits, and I have a feeling he's ready to change that. What really has me curious, though, is Rick Lansing. Now, that's a relationship that has never been simple. If someone had told me years ago that Sonny might actually lean on Rick during one of the biggest turning points in his life, I probably would have laughed. These two have enough history to fill a library, and not much of it has been pleasant. Still, life has a funny way of bringing unlikely allies together when circumstances change. I can definitely picture Rick becoming an important part of Sonny's next chapter. Whether he's offering legal advice, helping clean up the mess Sidwell leaves behind, or simply proving he's more trustworthy than people expect, there's plenty of room for this partnership to grow. But I'll admit, I wouldn't put all my chips on the table just yet. Around Port Charles, trust has always been one of the most expensive things a person can give away. That's exactly why I think Jason Morgan is going to have something to say about all of this. After everything Jason has endured while being held captive by the WSB, I imagine he's coming home with a completely different outlook on life. Sometimes surviving an experience like that changes a person in ways nobody else can see. It forces you to rethink what matters, who matters, and which battles are still worth fighting. From everything we've been hearing, Jason seems ready to make some major changes. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if one of those changes is stepping away from the criminal world that's defined so much of his life. That doesn't mean he'll stop caring about Sonny. If anything, I think he'll care even more because he'll be looking at things with fresh eyes instead of old habits. That's why I can already imagine Jason watching Sonny grow closer to Rick and quietly wondering if history is about to repeat itself. Jason has always had sharp instincts when it comes to people, and he's rarely comfortable when Sonny lowers his guard too quickly. If Jason believes Sonny is putting too much faith in Rick, I don't think he'll keep those concerns to himself. He may not try to control Sonny's decisions, but he'll almost certainly offer a warning, and knowing Jason, that warning will come from loyalty rather than suspicion alone. Personally, I think that's what makes this storyline so interesting. Sidwell's downfall doesn't really feel like the ending of a story. To me, it feels like the beginning of several new ones all happening at once. Sonny is rebuilding his empire. Rick could become an unexpected ally. Jason is returning with a brand new perspective. And those three paths are almost guaranteed to collide before long. I've watched General Hospital long enough to know that peace never lasts forever in Port Charles. Just when everyone starts believing the worst is finally over, another challenge appears around the corner. But that's exactly why I'm excited about what's coming next. Instead of watching Sonny constantly react to Sidwell's latest scheme, we'll get to see him make choices that could shape the future of everyone around him. Something tells me Sonny's world is about to change in ways that go far beyond defeating one enemy. The real story begins after the dust settles, and if these spoilers are any indication, we're about to witness a whole new chapter that could redefine Sonny, Jason, and Rick for months to come. I don't know about you, but I'll be watching every minute to see who proves worthy of Sonny's trust and who ends up reminding him that in Port Charles, yesterday's ally can become tomorrow's biggest mistake.